Welcome back to the Postpartum Prep Podcast. My name is Ceridwen. I'm your podcast host and your guide to preparing for a smoother start to life with your new baby. Here on the Postpartum Prep Podcast, we talk about all things newborns, feeding, sleep, postpartum recovery, all the things. And today on the podcast, we're joined by Claire Fagan. Claire, can you give us just a very brief introduction to you, and we'll get into the Q&A from there?
Yes, absolutely. Hi, everybody. My name is Claire Fagan. I'm happy to be here. I'm a doula, a childbirth educator, a biological infant sleep educator, and I'm also the founder of Regenerative Motherhood, which we have a full podcast episode on. So go listen to that. I'm also the mom of a almost 2-year-old named Bixby, who has been such a great teacher of mine. So I'm happy to be here and share what he taught me about preparing for having a newborn.
Today, we're talking about setting up a baby-friendly postpartum environment, and we have 3 questions that were submitted. And Claire is going to answer them for us today from her perspective. I'm super excited to get into it. So let's start with the first question. This person asks, what kind of lighting is best for a newborn? And do newborns need a quiet house, or is normal noise okay?
That's such a good question. And the lighting conversation is interesting because it kind of leads us into a conversation about circadian rhythm and how the brain tells the body to wake up and go to sleep and things like that. So, what's interesting about humans specifically is that we have, as newborns, we have this like major adjustment period on the like once we're out of the womb. So it's not that once we're born, we're just like ready to go and we're kind of operating at like our full level, but we have just this period of time where we need lots of tender care and attention and safety and closeness for our brains to develop to start informing our bodies of things like when to go to sleep and when to wake up. What's very interesting about newborns is they just spent life as they know it inside a mostly totally dark place. So their
Mm,
brains do not understand the concept of light means wake up and dark means go to sleep. And their
mm,
circadian rhythms or their 24-hour clocks aren't operating like an adult's at all until closer to 4 to 6 months. Um, so, with that being said, it becomes more important around 4 to 6 months that you're more aware of what the light is telling your baby's body. But up until then, I think it's just good hygiene to practice working with light cues, even though your baby will still continue to sleep in what's called a polyphasic sleep pattern, which is where they're on and off sleep all throughout the day and night, whether it's light or whether it's dark. So, something that's so important to, I think, keep in the back of your head is just mimicking what the light inside your house looks like based on what it looks like outside. So, if it's dark outside, then keeping light really low and really warm and more, orangey ready amber, because that just helps the circadian rhythm kind of clock darkness and therefore sleepy time, rest time, the body the body when we clock darkness, it starts to produce melatonin and things like that at night. That doesn't apply
mm.
to like blackout blinds. Like, I think that that's an important piece of the conversation is, just putting your baby in a dark room in the middle of the day isn't necessarily going to help them produce melatonin. It's more in line with the earth's light and dark cycles.
Mm.
So yeah, keeping the house dark on the inside when it's dark outside, and then when it's light outside, like keeping blinds open and keeping the house lively. This isn't going to have major impacts on your newborn when they're a newborn, but it's going to set the rhythm of your household for as your baby starts to catch on to these things when they're closer to 4 to 6 months. It's going to just, I think, have the house in a good rhythm to be supporting circadian alignment when it matters.
Hmm.
I hope
Which
that's
is such opposite advice from what a lot of people say. A lot of people say for every nap they have to be in a quiet, dark room. But
right.
actually, have you ever seen, do you know Basis?
Um,
Helen Ball, do you
yeah,
know
I
her?
know Helen Ball,
So
but
sh
I'm
sh her. I don't know, like research that she
Huh?
has done is with like her university. They have a website called BASIS, Baby
Okay.
and Infant Sleep Information, something like that.
Okay.
But
Okay.
they have this really cool graph that shows how like with sleep pressure when your baby's going into like because if they're in like a really dark, quiet space for their
Mhm.
naps, they're going to go into a deeper sleep. And so
Mhm.
their sleep pressure is going to be it means that at night they're not going to have as intense sleep pressure because
Oh, okay.
it's like a really cool graph. I'll send it to you because I think you would
Interesting.
find it. I'm sure you'd like it. Um, but yeah, I think
Right.
it's just I
Makes
love what
sense.
you kind of said about, they don't need to be in this blackout blind, quiet
Right.
room because it can mess with not only their circadian rhythm but sleep pressure as well.
Totally. And I think
Um,
noise plays into that as well. Like the rest of the question about do they need noise, quiet noise, or is a normal house okay? And I think it's just a matter of fostering an environment for deep
mm,
rest at night and then
mm,
and then fostering an environment for just restorative pauses throughout the
mm,
day.
mm.
And like what you just said,
Take the
like
edge off.
right, take the edge off, right? Your baby isn't supposed to go into the deepest sleep of all time during the day. It's just a matter of, yeah, taking the edge off. And so having some noise, just to send your baby's body the message that, it's daytime and we're awake and you don't know that. And that doesn't mean anything to you, but here's some cues as you start to unfold and become aware and catch on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say at night, yeah, a quiet, peaceful environment is important, but in the daytime, it's not as important
Mhm.
as we like to.
Yeah. And you don't have to stay home trapped in your house all day just so that your baby can nap. I think
Right.
that's another thing like I found I thought that I had to and I literally was like so isolated because I not only are newborn naps like so unpredictable that you can't really plan anything.
Right.
Like if you're trying to make sure that for every nap they're just in a completely quiet dark room, um, it means yeah, that you're spending like all your time in the day in a quiet dark room.
Right.
Um, okay. Our next question is how do I make my home safer for a newborn without overdoing it?
I think this one's interesting because it's almost um, like, like you don't,
Maybe like a reality check for like what is a newborn gonna even be doing that could be unsafe.
right. Well, I
Yeah.
think that the safest thing for a newborn to be is near you.
Mm,
So it's almost like how do there's certain things that you can do in your home and for your home and to your home to make it so that it's very comfortable for you to be
mm,
with your baby all the
yeah,
time. So like
I love
whether
that.
that's maybe you don't need to get like the most expensive bassinet or crib or whatever but if you maybe get a nice armchair that feels really, really good for you and your baby to be in during the day so
Mm,
that you can have a guest over but still be comfortable in the
mm,
living room, or
mm,
maybe making your bed an environment that's safe for your baby in accordance to safe sleep guidelines or something
mm,
like that. But like it's really about like what is safe for a newborn is
mm,
to have the next best thing to being in the womb, which is to being on you in
mm.
a womb-like environment.
Yeah,
So it's almost like you kind of don't need anything at all. You don't need to go out and buy anything at all, but creating a place of comfortability for that
yeah.
closeness, I think, is important. And, setting up your postpartum village to support you
Oh,
to be able
true.
to stay close, I think.
Hmm.
But your baby doesn't need anything but you.
No, I love actually. Do you know Nils Bergman,
No,
the
oh my gosh,
the skin to
you just
skin
gave me
guy?
like the list of
Sorry, I'm like such a
people.
nerd. This is why I
No,
have
I
this
love
podcast because I
it.
just like this is
I
all
love
I think
it.
about. Nils Bergman, he's the guy that's done like like you must have heard of kangaroo care as a doula.
No, but I mean, with the
Oh,
kangaroo having a pocket, I think I think I
yeah, you can
understand.
understand how
Yeah.
it's basically like in the NICU, kangaroo care is about
Okay.
it's
Yes.
like kangaroo care terminology is specifically used for NICUs where
Okay.
babies are we want to basically keep them in skin to skin as much as possible.
Yeah.
And Nils Bergman has done a lot of research on this, but also he talks about how the mother is the environment for the baby,
There
which
we
I
go.
feel like is just kind of what you've said. Um,
I love that.
and so the next question that we have, and this is going to be our last question for today. Oh, also, by the way, you mentioned about safe sleep guidelines. For anyone listening, I did recently do an episode on safe sleep guidelines, which was episode 19, that you can go back and listen to that. Um, for the last question that we have for Claire today is how should I set my bedroom up to make night feeds easier?
I love this question because I love that night feeds, and I'm sure you could go on and on about this as somebody who is like passionate about lactation, but I feel like night feeds are designed to be so easy. Just the inherent design of them is one
Mm,
of such ease and one that is so sustainable because you have what you need if you're breastfeeding, right? And of
mm,
course, there's other considerations to take if you're not. But I think that like one thing that can make night feeds easier is just remembering that um, you don't need to be up and have lights on and make like a a thing of it. Like it can be so simple and it can be so quiet. And I think one thing, just going back to the circadian rhythm, is just having a warm low light that allows you to see
mm,
what you need to see without it really being disruptive to your circadian rhythm or sending your baby the message that it's, not time for
mm,
sleep.
mhm,
But I think that one thing is just remembering that despite a lot of the narratives around what you need to mother, what you need to have in your room at night, whatever, just remembering that like there is an inherent design and it is one of ease and closeness, and you don't need to buy like a whole bunch of things to make it easier. And especially like I think often about how the narrative right now is like, okay, your baby shouldn't sleep with you, they need to sleep elsewhere. And so when our babies are sleeping elsewhere but they're waking up for a feed, as mothers we're needing to rise out of bed, go into our babies' rooms, get them out of the crib, turn on a light, sit in a chair, wait till they're done feeding, put them back in the crib, maybe they don't go back in the crib, so we're out of bed for 30 plus minutes, right?
mhm,
Whereas I think that was never the design. That's not sustainable.
mm,
We can't, that's not sustainable long term. And that's when we start having to turn to interventions such
mm,
as sleep training or, outsourcing nighttime feeding or um, different gadgets that cost a lot of money. And I think just remembering that what your baby needs is you,
mm,
and nutrition, however you're feeding your baby, is what's most important. And it really is part of our evolution to sleep together and to be close to each other. And
mhm,
even if you're not bed sharing, like just having your baby so close that it's a matter of reaching over and grabbing them, that's okay and that's safe, and that's how it was meant to be, right? And
mm,
so just remembering the inherent ease of that and allowing that, like trusting yourself and trusting your baby so that it can be easy as it was meant to be, and it is sustainable as it was meant to be, I think is important. I don't know.
mm.
That's again too vague, but
No, I love it, and I think in our last episode we talked to, or sorry, not our last episode, in the sleep safety guidelines episode,
Mhm,
we talked all about the importance of closeness and connection, and how even if you're not bed sharing, there's other ways to keep your baby close that doesn't have to
mhm,
mean they're in a crib halfway across the room or in another room. You can,
totally.
um, a sidecar bassinet, or one of those bassinets that you pull over your bed, something
Right,
like that can
totally.
really help. And then the most, I would say, the the easiest for some people is just bed sharing, and
Right,
but again, making sure that you're set up to do so safely.
right.
Yeah.
No.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Claire, for answering these questions for us today. Before we end this episode, could you just tell us, for anyone listening, where they can find you if they'd like to learn more about you?
Yes, my Instagram is my name, Claire Fagan, just at Claire Fagan. And then my website is regenerativemotherhood.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. For those of you listening, please be sure to check out the last episode that I did with Claire. We talked all about how to make mothering your baby just so nourishing for you as well as for your baby. And it's just an episode I'm so excited to have on this podcast. So make sure you go listen to it. Thank you, Claire, so much for joining us today. If you want to submit any questions for an upcoming Q&A episode, I always share in my email newsletter the week before I'm recording. I always share the topic for that week's Q&A in my email newsletter. So if you're not already subscribed to my email newsletter, I'll make sure to link it in the show notes or in the episode description below so you can join. Thanks again, Claire, for being here today. For those of you listening, I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.